Hi, this is Ann with Graphic Design How To, and today I'm going to show you how to find, install, and use Generative Fill in Adobe Photoshop. All right, let's get started. Okay, so first I'm going to show you how to install it, and that'll be at this timestamp. And then next I'll show you 4 different ways to use it, and that'll be at this timestamp. And then finally we'll go over some frequently asked questions about Generative Fill, and that will be at this timestamp. So first up, how to install Generative Fill. Log into your Creative Cloud desktop app. So we'll come up here. I've got it right up here at the top of this bar, but you might need to go to your applications and open it that way. Okay, so on the left side, you'll see Beta Apps, and then Photoshop Beta here. Now, this says Update Available, and it's best to have the most current version, so go ahead and click that if you see it. So I'm going to choose Update right over here. You'll need to have at least 24.6 right here. Of course, if you have a version open, you'll need to close that. So now it's installed, and I'll choose Open. And your Photoshop Beta icon looks quite a bit different from the regular Photoshop icon. I'm going to go ahead and open a photo. And the first way to use Generative Fill is to remove something, like people. So I'll get my lasso tool right over here, and I'm just going to draw around this person. Then this contextual taskbar will pop up. Now, if you're not seeing this, you can just come up here to Window, and then contextual taskbar right down here at the bottom. So I'm going to click in Generative Fill here, and I'll type Remove Person, and then Generate. And as you can see, it did a really great job of removing the person. Now we have 3 options here, and we can use these right and left arrows to scroll through them. And so you can see the background is changing just a little bit. I'm really liking this third option. It does a good job of creating the little white line that continues the waves in the background. Now I'll zoom in on the other people in the photo. And you can also do all of them at once. So I'm going to trace around her, and you'll also want to include the shadows like this. So I'm holding Shift to add to my selection with the lasso tool. I'm holding Shift again to select these. And I also want this shadow. Make sure to include the shadows when you're doing this. I'll type Remove People and Generate. Okay, and it's done a really great job of removing these people too. And as we scroll through the different options, you can see what it's done to the background. It's using artificial intelligence to fill in the missing areas. So it's kind of like Content Aware Fill, except that Content Aware Fill uses parts of your image, and this uses Adobe Firefly, which is an artificial intelligence generator, to go through all of the information from all the Adobe stock images and fill it in based on that intelligence. Now it looks like I forgot these 2, so I'm going to draw around those, and this time I'm not going to put anything in. If you leave the prompt blank, it will do its best to try to figure out what you want. Okay, so now all our people are gone. Now the second way to use Generative Fill is to add something to your design. So I'm going to select this area right here. And this time I'll just put beach chair. So let's see what it comes up with. Okay, this is a little odd. That's the first option. Also kind of strange, but this one looks pretty good. Now I'm not crazy about any of the 3 of these, so I'm going to click Generate again and see what else it comes up with. Sometimes it doesn't do a great job of giving you what you want. So I'm going to change my prompt to Beach Chair Facing Ocean and generate that. Now this one looks pretty good, so I'm going to go with that. And you'll see it's added shadows based on where the light in the photo is coming from. Now I'll add a castle right here on this mountain. So I'll just type castle here and generate. And we have a little castle there now. And here are a few options. I think this one looks pretty good. Sometimes the artificial intelligence doesn't do well with the size of the castle. So in that case, you would need to make your selection bigger or smaller so it makes sense proportion-wise. The third way to use Generative Fill is to resize an existing design by extending the background. So let's open a new image. We'll go to File, Open. And I'm going to open this image of me and my husband. I'm going to zoom out a little with Command minus or Control minus, and then I'll hit C for the crop tool right over here. Now let's say I wanted to use this for a Facebook post. The normal Facebook post size is 1200 by 628, I believe. And so it'll automatically give me that. But let's say I don't want to cut anything off of my picture. I can just extend that crop size to the full size of my picture and leave it blank over here. Then I'll get on my rectangular marquee tool right here. And I'm just going to draw around that blank area. You'll want to get a little bit of the image so that the AI knows what to do. Now, when you're extending an image like this, you don't need to actually put in a prompt at all. The tooltip says that if you leave it blank, they'll fill the selection based on the surroundings. So that's why we want to include a little bit of the picture. I'm going to click generate and let's see what happens. Okay, and this is really interesting. It's taken the ground and recreated a similar version over here. It's extended the fence and added some trees. So let's see the other options. I think this one is even better. And then this one is really interesting. I think I would probably go with this, although obviously this isn't what we saw when we were in this place. I'm going to do the same process and see what it does with our feet. So I'll hit C to get on my crop tool. I'll change this to width and height resolution, and then I'll just pull this down. I'll get back on my marquee tool, zoom out a little bit. I'm going to select a little bit more so that it knows we're trying to create feet down here. And then choose Generative Fill and Generate. Okay, I'm going to zoom in and see what we have. Okay, we have some really strange looking sandals here. My foot looks really strange also. That's the first option. I'm not sure what happened to the foot here. I'm not sure I want to know. And then, yeah, so it doesn't do great. This is probably the best one, but it still needs some work. But what I can do is just select this foot and type something like foot so that it knows, hey, this is a foot and it needs to be better than this. Still not great. Oh my. Okay. So yeah, it definitely needs some work, but maybe it's a good start. I don't know. I don't even think that's really usable at all. Okay, so I'm going to undo that crop completely. Now the fourth thing you can do with Generative Fill is change something that already exists, and it actually does really well with clothing usually. So I'm going to select just my shirt. I'll tell it I want a dressy blouse instead, and we'll generate. Okay, this is all right. You can see that it's recreated my arm, and it actually did a really good job. I would never wear something like this though. It's very ugly. So let's keep looking at other options. Oh my, now this is really funny. It's actually taken the print from my skirt and put it on a blouse, added a hand in here, which doesn't look quite right. I still would never wear anything like this, so let's keep going. Did a similar thing here. I'm going to add white and see what it comes up with. Okay, and this is much better. I've got some kind of growth here. Not sure what to think about that. So you might need to tweak a lot of things. This is probably the best option, but I would still want to play around with it for a while. Now you can also replace whole areas of your picture. For example, the sky. And by the way, I wanted to just point out how well this sky matches the actual sky in our picture. So that is very impressive. Coming back here to our beach scene, let's change this sky to a kind of stormy sky. So we'll need to select the sky. Now normally if I hadn't made all these generative layers, I would just go to the background and choose select sky, which is right here. But since I made these layers, they also have their own skies. So I'm going to just select it manually. I'm not doing perfect, but this will be good enough, I hope. Okay, so we have a rough selection of the sky. So now I'll type stormy sky here and we'll generate. Now this looks pretty good, except it's cut off the top of our mountain. So you have to be careful about that. Your selection of the sky needs to be pretty good. When you're doing a bunch of generative layers like this, make sure you do the sky as one of the first things you do, and then you can put the other generative layers on top of that. Let's see our other options here. Yeah, I actually like all three of these. This one's okay, but it makes the top of this ridge look a little weird. So I would go with option 1 or 2. Now I'll open a new image. And on this image, I'm just going to add a lake right over here. So I'll draw around all the stuff over here. I'll draw around these things too. And then I'll just type in lake and generate. And this is really amazing. It really looks like a legitimate, realistic lake. Let's look at our other options. That one is good. That one's good. So it's very believable. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is that you can use this on artwork too. So this time I'm going to open up an image of Rosie the Riveter. I'll get on my lasso tool and draw around her hand. And I'll put holding a microphone. Okay, and this is pretty odd. It's facing the wrong way, but you'll notice that the coloring on the hand actually matches the coloring of Rosie's skin, so that is pretty cool. Hopefully there will be one that is usable here. No, unfortunately not. So let's generate again and see if it can come up with one facing the correct way. Very odd. No, no. Now, when I was testing this before recording, I was able to get one to face the correct way. It might be something you would have to play around with for a while to get what you want. Okay, we're almost there. Obviously, it's not perfect, but I wanted to just give you some ideas of what you can use this software for. It really is pretty amazing. Frequently asked questions. Can I use the images created with Generative Fill commercially? Currently, Generative Fill images cannot be used for commercial purposes, although I'm sure this will be changing soon. These pictures pull from Adobe stocks millions of images, so whenever it gets used, Adobe's idea is that they will pay the contributor who created that image. So then I guess the question is, will we need an Adobe stock subscription to be able to use these commercially? And unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you yet on that. Do I have to have a Creative Cloud subscription to use Generative Fill? Yes, you will need a subscription to Adobe Photoshop or the whole Creative Cloud suite to be able to access the beta. What should I do if Generative Fill is grayed out or I can't see it at all? For this, I made another video and you'll be able to see that right up here. If it's out yet, might be another week or so. Is Generative Fill available on the mobile app? Unfortunately, no. This is only available on desktop at the moment, but hopefully they'll come out with a mobile version soon. I can select Generative Fill, but I can't see the little pop-up bar. If your pop-up bar is nowhere to be seen, just go to Window, Contextual Taskbar. It's toward the bottom. Alright, if you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, just click on the subscribe button and the little bell next to it and you'll be notified every time a new video comes out. Alright, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you!